Have you ever wondered what it would be like if joining a cause wasn't just about volunteering, but about taking on a whole new identity? Well, today we're breaking down a really unusual and highly structured invitation from John Victor and the Stellarium Foundation that does exactly that. It literally maps out an entire ecosystem for its supporters, and believe me, it starts with a very clear demand.
Right out of the gate, the invitation hits you with this powerful and urgent statement. It sets the tone immediately. You can tell this is not some casual request for a donation. It's being framed as a time-sensitive, all-hands-on-deck call to action. And this is just the beginning.
And here it is, the core concept. The document is very clear. These are not just jobs you can do. They are identities, fundamental archetypes you are meant to embody. It's this whole framework designed to define your place within what they call the great working. So it all breaks down into these 5 core archetypes. Each one represents a different type of capital, a different way to contribute. You've got the fuelers for money, the architects for skills and ideas, the amplifiers for networks and social reach, the inner circle for, well, deep personal commitment, and finally, the guardians for security and crisis response. Let's dig into each one. First up, we have the fuelers. And as the name pretty much gives away, this category is all about providing the financial resources that the foundation says are its lifeblood. So under this fueler archetype, the roles cover pretty much every financial angle you can think of. It goes from selfless donations all the way to high-return strategic investments in their for-profit ventures. There's even a role for fundraisers who can work on a pretty hefty 40% commission. All right, next up are the architects. This group is for the builders, the thinkers, the problem solvers. Their contribution is defined by expertise, skills, and intellectual capital. You know, the range of ways you can get involved here is actually fascinating. It goes from a high-level, C-suite kind of consulting all the way down to a role called the silent oracle, where you can provide completely anonymous feedback, you can co-develop products for equity, or just take their ideas and implement them in your own work. Now let's talk about the third archetype, the amplifiers. For them, the currency they deal in is social and network capital. These are the people whose job it is to spread the message, build connections, and really shape the public narrative. The amplifier roles are all about building influence and controlling the story. This includes evangelists who are tasked with countering what the text refers to as disinformation, as well as more formal policy advocates for lobbying and ambassadors to go out and get corporate sponsorships. Okay, now we're getting into a much more intense level of commitment with the inner circle. This archetype is all about contributing what the document calls personal and existential capital. Basically, we're talking about a commitment that goes way beyond just time or money. It involves a deep, all-in kind of collaboration. And the commitment level here is, well, it's extreme. The Stellarium actor is defined as someone who literally lives and works side by side with John Victor. You can merge your entire business with his or act as a confidential advisor. And that final role, union partner, points towards something the text vaguely describes as profound personal and strategic relationships. And that brings us to the final archetype, the guardians. This is a group that is explicitly dedicated to security, to gathering intelligence, and to building community resilience, especially when it comes to what they see as threats. These roles are very operational, almost paramilitary in a way. They cover everything from physical security and gathering intel on so-called hostile actors to digital peacekeepers who are supposed to counter enemy propaganda online, all the way to organizing local pods to put pressure on authorities. Okay, so you've got these 5 archetypes, these very specific roles, but the document then pivots. It shifts from defining who you are to spelling out what you do. It's basically asking, all right, now that you've found your identity in our ecosystem, how do you actually put that into action? And the answer comes in the form of a menu of engagement. This part of the document lays out a really practical, actionable list of tasks and contributions that line up directly with the archetypes we just went through. It's the how-to guide for the identity you've chosen. The action items for fuelers are incredibly specific. The number 1 priority is funding something called a counter-offensive. After that, They're looking for a $100,000 investment for a mansion and office, and then a staggering $7 million for an unspecified water, AI, and robotics project. For the architects, the actions directly mirror their roles. You can engage in that high-stakes consulting. You can co-develop technology for equity. You can contribute to a specific board of tasks, or you can just apply their concepts in your own field. And yeah, that option for anonymous feedback is listed as a concrete action too. Amplifiers are given some very direct tasks for outreach. Host events, lobby for policies, and go out and get corporate sponsors. But their primary job is to become official cornerstone partners and just amplify the foundation's narrative, get the word out there.
The menu for the inner circle. These are the most profound ways to engage. These aren't really tasks so much as they are life-altering commitments, and they line up perfectly with those high-intensity roles we saw, participating in the cast in-person collaboration, proposing a full-on joint business venture, or joining the inner advisory team.
And just when you think you've got the whole picture, the tone of the document shifts dramatically. It goes from this menu of options to a set of urgent, non-negotiable directives for what it presents as an ongoing crisis. These directives are basically the guardian archetype in emergency mode. They're presented as a duty, not a choice. Supporters are instructed to facilitate the extraction and safety of John Victor, who's referred to here simply as the asset. The calls to action are explicit: host him, fund his travel, report on hostile actors, and organize locally to pressure authorities. So there you have it. That's the system, a detailed step-by-step path from being a passive supporter to a fully active participant, complete with a new identity and a list of explicit commands. It's a really intricate blueprint for commitment, and it leaves you with this big question. It's not just about where someone might fit in, but about the power of a system that doesn't just ask for your help, but asks for your entire identity.